Okay, it's time to answer the question. What's the difference between the Classic II and the Classic III, and which one should you buy? I think this is actually the first non-cooking video I've made on the channel since we've come back. I've been sick as a dog all week and my voice probably sounds a little bit funny at the minute, so hopefully it sticks out. I decided that this would be the video I do the most talking in. But we are going to answer the age-old question about what is the difference between the Classic II and the Classic III. Now, it would be pretty simple just to go onto the website and look at the list of differences, but I want to try and maybe get a little bit more granular and look at the actual physical differences, what they mean as far as performance goes, or at least what I've found so far. Now, this isn't my review of the Classic III by any stretch of the imagination. I've only had it for a month or so. That video will come after a year and I've had a chance to cook plenty of stuff on it. This is more detailing the differences between the two and more to the point, which one should you buy? Now, I will kick this off by saying that I am a member of the fire squad now. If you didn't know or see the video a little while back, the Classic III was gifted to me, but I don't feel I'm doing anybody a disservice being honest about what I think, so you will get my genuine opinion in this video. So it makes sense to start from the bottom, and this is actually one of the biggest differences that surprised me, and that is the cart. So Classic II comes with the sort of traditional steel bar cart on it. It's always done the job for me. Whenever it is parked in the shack, I've never had an issue with it. The biggest issue comes when I'm moving it around. The wheels are a little bit smaller than the one that's on the Classic III, and even with my paving, my masterfully laid paving, I was pushing the Classic III around. Every now and again a wheel would get caught and the whole frame would twist a little bit. So stability wise it was grand, but I was just always nervous pushing it around or moving it around. Whereas the Classic III has much bigger wheels, so it glides across the paving no problem. The brakes seem to be a little bit better on it, and the cart is just sturdier. Plus I think it looks a bit nicer, not that really matters, but the cart is 100% a really good upgrade. Now, another obvious difference in them is the actual size of the barbecue itself, but we'll talk more about that once we get to the inside features rather than the outside ones. But moving up the grill then, the only other difference on the barbecue is actually the side shelves. So Classic III comes now with aluminium side shelves, whereas the Classic II were resin hard plastic shelves, so you couldn't put anything hot on them or you'd melt them. I don't use the side shelves that often, but before I built the shack, when I was kind of surviving over in that little corner just using the side shelves, it was a bit of a pain not being able to set anything warm onto them, so the aluminium ones would have been really handy at that point. Overall, they just make sense. I don't know why the whole range doesn't have them at this point, so they are a definite bonus for the Classic III. Everything else on the outside is exactly the same. It comes with the same airlift hinge, same latch at the front, same handle. The control tower at the top is exactly the same, there's no difference in them. But the biggest features come on the inside. So once again, we'll go down to the very bottom, and the Classic III has removed that little circular grid that comes at the bottom of the Classic II that holds your charcoal. They have replaced that with the charcoal basket itself that can be removed. And the charcoal basket sits inside the firebox, which is, I want to say they're exactly the same. I haven't compared them size-wise, but they look pretty identical. There's no difference in design. So for the purpose of this video, they are exactly the same. But the charcoal basket hooks onto your divide and conquer system, and it can be lifted out of the barbecue all in one piece. Now, already having done sort of 4 or 5 different cooks on this, I can already tell the airflow is much better through this grill than it is in the Classic II. Now, whilst the Classic II was perfectly manageable and I never really knew there was a difference until I moved on to something like this, that little grid at the bottom has a habit of kind of getting blocked up with little bits of charcoal, and that can affect your airflow. So I always had to be really meticulous when cleaning the Classic II out to try and make sure that a lot of those little holes were kind of punched through and clear. Whereas with the Classic III, you can kind of just lift that charcoal basket, give it a shake to let any small stuff fall through it, lift it out, it keeps all your charcoal in one piece. You're not having to brush it around to try and get all the little pieces out. And then everything else is the same. The little ash drawer pulling out the front is all similar. Now, there is one little caveat to this. I am yet to figure out how to empty this barbecue without making an absolute mess of the cart. So if you get any value in this video or you have one of these, I want you to let me know how you empty it out. With the Classic II, I used to push a bucket underneath it, and then I would pull out the ash drawer, so anything that fell out or came out with it fell into the bucket. And then I would go in with the charcoal rake and scrape everything out, give it a little brush down, job done. With the new cart, I can't get a bucket underneath it, so I've been trying different angles to get a bucket in, but I always manage to spill ash everywhere. So at the minute it's the one downside, but I just can't figure out how to do it. So let me know in the comments below if you have a way. Moving up then, the divide and conquer system in this has 3 levels, whereas the divide and conquer system in the Classic II only has 2 levels. Now, there isn't a big enough difference in the levels that you're going to use all 3 of them at once, but I would say the top level in this is about a couple of inches further away from the charcoal than it would be in the Classic II. It's hard to tell because of the difference in height in the cooking bowls, etc., but I think they're about a couple of inches of difference. The lower levels are exactly the same. They pretty much sit right on top of that cooking box, so you are almost cooking directly on top of the coals for getting that really high heat searing. So if you followed the channel for a while, you know I love cooking at that highest level in the Classic II. I find it a nice balance between searing direct or indirect cooking. There's a lot of stuff you can kind of cook further away from the heat and give it a really nice colour on the outside of it without cooking it too fast. So hopefully having the 3rd level in this will kind of give me that extra little level of indirectness or fake indirectness. So I'm looking forward to playing about with it. Now, the Classic III comes with all the same accessories the Classic II comes with. You get your accessory rack, your 2 ceramic diffuser plates, you get both your grills. TJ, do not hit my camera. You get your ash rack, you get your grate lifter. The only addition to it is the slow roller system in the Classic III. Now, the slow roller system is the biggest difference between the 2 of them. There's a lot of science behind it as to how it works. That's science I can't explain. But basically it's a system that sits inside the barbecue and it kind of creates different pressure zones to create better airflow through the barbecue. Kind of allows the smoke to swirl around your food a lot better. The people with many more brain cells than me figured that one out, and they're probably the best ones to explain it. But that's part of the reason why the Classic III is much deeper than the Classic II. That's why there's those extra levels in it as well. It's all kind of designed around that slow roller system. Now, having used it to do kind of low and slow pork shoulders on it, I do think it really helps with the actual management of the cook. The barbecue seemed a lot more stable. The chunks seemed to last a lot longer in it as well. They didn't burn through as fast and give you all that smoke at the start. It smoked for a lot longer, and it was a nice level of smoke. It wasn't just all heavy smoke at the start and then nothing towards the end. It seemed to be kind of nice light smoke the whole way through. Now, I'll need to do plenty more cooks to try and figure out if that's actually what happened, but that's what it felt like during that cook. So that is the biggest differences between the 2 of them, and that only leaves us with one question to answer, and that is, which one do you buy? Now, having bought the Classic II originally, you might think that might be my answer, but if you followed the channel, you know that I kind of had buyer's remorse a month or 2 after buying it, and I wish I'd gone for the Classic III. Now I have the Classic III, and again, I've only had it for about a month. I think my buyer's remorse was correct. Having that little bit of extra space, height-wise to cook in, has been nice. The slow roller system, like I say, for low and slow stuff. I don't do low and slow that often, but it was nice to have it there whenever I needed it. And since getting it, I have had quite a few messages from people saying, do I just buy the Classic II, or do I hold off for a little bit longer, save up the extra money and buy the Classic III? So I went onto the Kamado Joe website and had a look. You can buy most of the extras for the Classic III, you can buy as accessories after the fact. So if you already have a Classic II, you can buy the slow roller system for it, you can buy the side shelves to go onto it, and you can get the charcoal basket. The only thing you can't get is the cart and obviously the deeper bowl. There is a little caveat as well that the slow roller system only has 1 cooking level on it for the Classic II insert, but it would get you pretty close to what the Classic III is. So if you already own a Classic II and it's still in good condition, you maybe haven't had it for that long, but you're missing some of the features from the Classic III, you could add those bits and pieces into it as accessories and get it pretty close to what the Classic III is. But if you're buying one from scratch, if you don't own a Kamado Joe at all, I'm going to say go for the Classic III. There's very little difference in the price. If you're going to buy a brand new Classic II and add all those accessories onto it, you end up pretty close to what the price of the Classic III is anyway. But the cart, it makes such a massive difference if you have to move your grill around. And plus that deeper bowl is specifically designed for that slow roller system, so it works perfectly in it. Whereas the retrofit into the Classic II might not work quite as well. So I'd love to know what your buying considerations are. What kind of stuff are you thinking about whenever you're trying to make a choice between a Classic II or a Classic III? Or maybe you have questions if you already have a Classic II, whether it's worth going up to the Classic III. I want to hear them in the comments below, and maybe I'll make an update to this video in the future once I get a better idea of what you guys want to know. Now, I'll leave links below to all the accessories that you can use to upgrade your Classic II to some of those Classic III features. I don't know how many times I've said classic in this video. It's starting to get confusing. So ask about your questions below. I'll do my best to answer them. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys in the next video.